Hello everyone, welcome back to the new episode of Byte by eCommerce. For those who are new to our show, on Byte by eCommerce, we invite e-commerce leaders to talk about interesting and insightful stories from the world of e-commerce and AI to help you make faster and smarter decisions. Today we have an amazing guest with whom we are going to talk about a very important topic, which is how do you move from only offline to offline plus online, which is a huge process and needs a huge level of investment and expertise across all departments. And since this is a very critical topic and we are going to cover a lot of topics within this, we are going to cover this in multiple episodes and we are going to call this series as Mastering the E-commerce Journey. And in this first episode of this series, we are going to talk about the power of e-commerce and how you can make the most out of it. And for this, we have a very special guest, Shridhar Jagannathan, with us. Thank you, Shridhar, for joining us.
Thank you, Deepak, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, before we get started with our episode, a quick introduction of Shridhar. He has more than 20 years of experience of advertising and marketing, and he has worked with some of the leading advertising agencies in the country. He currently heads marketing for ewiz Commerce India and handles GTM solutions for a lot of customers of ewiz Commerce and PowerView. Before we get started with our episode, let me start with a very important statistic that I recently came across, which is around 80% of the e-commerce initiatives fail, which is huge, which is huge. We all talk about e-commerce, and when I came across this number, I was shocked. What do you think is the reason for this?
So, see, Deepak, what happens is most businesses, most business owners, they start with an offline setup, right? So they have a physical store, they have a shop, they sell on WhatsApp, they sell on marketplaces. So that is what they do. And even when they have a physical store, they understand the mechanics of a physical store. So let's start with a simple example. So say, for example, you're looking to sell shoes, all right, and you are setting up a store in a place like Mumbai, for example, and you are in a pretty busy suburb where you know there is a clear demand available, the right target audience is available, all of that is there. I'm considering all these factors to have been considered, have been taken into account, and you decide to set up a physical store. The key things that you would be looking for in that case would be, I want to set up a store in an area where my store is clearly visible. I want the audience to be able to walk into my store. And once you put the store up, you will make sure that all the products that you have are available in there. Your branding is perfect. The hoarding or the banner that you put up outside the store has all the information that it needs to have. Your storefront is bright enough that people get to see all the products there. You probably put up a standee outside the store, inviting people to come to the store. You would put up small ads in local newspapers, local cable channels. You'll probably also do a WhatsApp broadcast in the local area to tell the people in the area about the new store that is opening up. All these actions you will take when you do a physical store because you want to drive footfalls. Now, footfalls being the key word here, when you do a website, you don't get footfalls, you get clicks, right? So if you want website visits and you want website clicks, you need to be doing the same set of things for your online store as well. The problem is when people switch from physical to digital, from offline store to online store, the second bit of the journey they usually don't really concern themselves with. They set up an online store, they make it available. The store looks good because they probably use a template which works with the industry they are in. To some extent, they don't really think about whether the branding is completely in place. And here I'm talking about mid-sized companies. Okay, I'm not talking about startups alone. Startups, it's understandable. They are bootstrapping, so they have to work. Right? But even mid-sized companies don't get this act right. Enterprises don't get this act right in many cases because for them it's just another thing they need to do because of the digital revolution. My competitors are online, let me also be online. And here I'm specifically referring to the online store that they built. So it's www.brand.com or brandstore.com. So let's take, for example, Nike. So you have nike.com or you have store.nike.com. Now, Nike is available on Amazon, it's available on Flipkart, it's available on Myntra, it's available in all the marketplaces, but it is always devoid of a brand experience. So when you look at a marketplace, you get certain things uh, like quicker delivery, you get multiple options. I search for a Nike sports shoe, for example. I will also get to see Puma. I will also get to see Power. I'll get to see all the other brands, Adidas, and everyone that's available in that marketplace. But when you set up your own store, you have the benefit of showing only your brand, creating that brand experience. Now, that is another thing that brands don't get right. But the core problem of it all is the marketing they need to do of this particular online store, driving people to the store, driving people to type out www.brandname.com or giving them a link which they can click on and arrive on your website, and then give them the journey that they can browse through, help them find the right products, guide them down that process that your salesperson would be doing in your physical store. You don't just let people walk around in your store, right? There are people available who will walk up to you if you seem a little lost. They will come and ask you a bunch of questions. What are you looking for? What kind of shoe? Are you walking? Are you running? Do you plan to do yoga? What is this? What is the purpose of the shoe that you're buying? And then they take you through that journey and help you find the right product. Your website needs to be able to do all of this without the presence of a physical human being, and which is where the real e-commerce challenge comes in. Hope that answered your question, Deepak.
Yeah, definitely, Sridhar. So, what you are saying is, while businesses do want to go online, they are not ready. They don't have the necessary expertise. They don't have the necessary resources. They don't have the necessary partners to help them with this journey. And hence, while they start with all the enthu, all the gusto, once they reach that, once they finish off, or you may say, they don't know what the next step is, they stop there and it just tapers down from there.
Yeah. So once they set it up, what they do is, say, in the first 1 year, they'll burn out all the cash they have in terms of basic social media posts, some ads here and there on Meta, for example, on Facebook and Instagram. They would probably do a few ads here and there on some industry websites, certain magazines, but that's it. They would taper it down at that point and they say, I'm not really getting the returns I want from the website. And then it just lies around probably 2 more years where the website is just being updated once in, say, 2 months. And then finally, they come to a decision where they say, boss, this is not going to work for us. Online is not the game. Audience is not coming in, we are not getting the returns we want, and then they decide to shut it down. And by then they are so cash strapped because they've been bleeding for so long doing these really trivial things that, first of all, they don't set the budgets for it. There is always a learning curve. So when you set up a physical store, you start with a budget. You say, I need to spend this kind of money to market my store. I need to spend on the salesperson, and you have to pay salaries there. You have to pay the rent for the place if you don't own it. You have to pay electricity bills and all the other necessities. So there is a huge OPEX that you're talking about. Now, they are ready to spend that OPEX when they set up a physical store, but they are not willing to do the OPEX when they look at an online store. So there is a marketing budget, there is a learning curve. You need to figure out if you're talking to the right audience. Are they coming to the store? Where are they dropping off? Are they adding to cart? All these aspects are very important when you consider setting up an online store. Now, there are many companies who recruit e-commerce managers, who have a marketing team. And right now, because of this entire influx of digital and it being the next big thing, it's already there. It's wrong to say the next big thing. It is sort of the past, and the future is all about AI and all those things. So, but even then, the kind of penetration that is expected out of these organizations isn't really happening because the larger level, the senior management is still not clued into how the online space works, because they are people who have been extremely schooled in the older way of doing things. It is the newer generation that needs to step in. It needs to wake up, and the CEOs of the world need to start taking SEO seriously. They need to understand what it means. They need to understand how you can really be intent driven when you go digital. You can drive people to your store purely based on the specific search words they put in. So these are things that they really need to focus on. And I'm sure in the next few podcasts that we'll be doing, we'll be looking into this a little deeper for sure.
Definitely, definitely. So while we did talk about the approach or the mindset which companies need to have when they add digital as another channel, let me ask you a very simple, a very basic question, and I'm sure you must be tired of hearing this. And there is, and a lot of businesses and a lot of people do claim to know about this, but I'm still going to ask this a very simple question. According to you, what are the main benefits that a business has or can gain in setting up an online store in comparison or in addition to their offline presence? I want you to answer this very in a very simple and a very generic manner, which is applicable for B2B or B2C, for a small company as well as for a large enterprise. Because while those benefits are out there, I still think people miss out on a very basic basis.
No, that's a very important question. I completely agree with you. And see, the basics are pretty well known. If you look at anyone who decides to sell online, there are some basic tenets, like I'll get to sell to anyone. I have a very small store here in, say, Bombay, in one small suburb like Andheri, for example, or in Bandra, for example, and I want to sell to somebody in Bangalore. I want to sell to somebody in New York. I want to sell to somebody in Argentina, for that matter. How do I do that? It is not possible for me to do that with having a physical store in Bandra, because I can't expect my customer to travel to my store and buy. But having an online store just opens me up to the world, to anyone and everyone that I can deliver to. If I can deliver it there using courier or any other form of delivery option available, I'm all set. I can sell to anyone. There is also another benefit. A store has a restricted amount of time. It probably opens up at, say, 7:30 in the morning, but it has to shut shop at 10. It has to shut shop at 11, depending on which region of India or which region of the world you are in. Most stores can't remain open 24/7, unless of course they are necessity stores. In India and in Bombay, which is the case in point, I live here. The thing is, there are certain 24/7 medical stores that are allowed to remain open because they are considered bare necessities. They are emergency situations, but all other stores have to shut down at 11 max. Even restaurants have to shut down at 12 or 1. So that is a restriction that happens. But if I am on a online space, I can sell anytime I want. I can get my customer to come and purchase anytime I want, and I can deliver. So it's very customer friendly when you have an online store, because they get to buy wherever, whenever, because you're available on all devices. You can use the mobile phone to buy, you can use your laptop to buy, and you can choose to buy in the middle of the night, because that's probably the time that I have as a customer to sit down and actually browse through multiple options available, compare them, do all that, and then make a decision of what I want to buy. Maybe that's the time I have with my partner, where I can sit down with my partner, have a discussion about what we need to buy. If I'm talking about, say, buying clothes for myself, I would love to know what my wife thinks about it. If I'm buying furniture for the house, I want the entire family to be involved. I can't buy a table for my kid without asking my kid whether he likes it. So if I'm at home in front of the computer, I can show my kid, this is the kind of table that I'm planning to buy for you. Are you happy with it? If he or she says yes, then I order it. So that is the biggest benefit. And also the other point is, when you have an online store, you need to have complete control of your customers' experience. Say, for example, let's take the example of a food and beverage brand, right? I make milkshakes, for example, energy milkshakes. They have special proteins and all that in them, and I have made it available across retail stores in the city. Anyone who walks into a retail store probably sees a bunch of other products inside the refrigerator or inside the storage compartment of a retailer. You have the huge fridges where you have everything stacked. So you have the entire stack available. I go and pick up, the customer comes in, picks up the drink that I'm trying to sell. And that is it. That is where the relationship ends. They have bought my product, they have walked out of the place. They have paid the money, they have got out, they drank it, they threw it away. Now, this is an incomplete experience. I don't know who that customer is. If, say, for example, Deepak, you walked into the store and bought my energy drink, I never know that Deepak came in and bought. I know nothing about you. Maybe you come in every day and you buy one packet, but I don't know. All I know is I'm able to sell 200 products in a week because there is some customer in some part of India who is buying these products. I don't know it is Deepak. There is no way for me to know that it is Deepak. But when it's an online store, I can make you register because I have to deliver it to your house. So you have to give me some information. I can know my customer. You know how banks say KYC. So KYC is very important. I need to know my customer. So you can know your customer when you have an online store. They come in, they register, and with that, you can build your customer relationship. Because once you find out what Deepak likes, you understand his demographic. Where is he from? Where does he stay? What else does he buy? How else is he browsing? When you walk into a store, for example, I don't know what else you're buying. Maybe I also sell chips. I also sell biscuits. I also sell cookies. I also sell bakery products. Maybe you're buying bakery products from somebody else and only buying my beverage. I'm losing out on selling you all those things. The upselling opportunity is lost. But when you're on my website, I can make sure that while you're buying my energy drink, I can push a bakery product along with it. I can say people who bought this also bought this. I can do that. I can bring up those recommendations. And those recommendations don't have to be very random. They are recommendations based purely on customer behavior. So if it is a protein drink that you're buying, maybe I can give you a protein cookie. Maybe I can sell you a protein bar along with it. Why not have a protein bar to go with your protein shake? Right? So that is the kind of control you have over your customer. You get to know your customer, you get all the data. How much did they buy? When did they buy? How much are they willing to pay? Did they buy only during discounts? Do they always come in during discounts and buy? Or are they people who I can give a subscription to? So say, for example, Deepak comes into the store and he buys a pack of 7 every week, which means I know that he's having one every day. Can I interest you in a subscription and I can book you for the entire year? I can give you a subscription for the entire year at, say, 20% off. I have made you a loyal customer because you're going to stick with me for one more year. I have booked that purchase from you. So those are benefits you get when you go online, along with being offline, of course. Right? You can have a connected experience that you can give them. They come into your website, they check out the product. Let's take a touch and feel product, for example. You want to buy furniture or you want to buy upholstery. You're not going to buy upholstery, you're not going to buy furniture worth, say, 5 lakhs purely online. There are people who do it, of course, but there is always a returns and refunds angle that comes in because you need to think about all of that. But if I can give you a touch and feel by visiting the website, once you visit the website, I can give you a touch and feel by driving you to my studio or to my store where you can come and check out the product and buy. Even in the case of apparel, you have chosen, say, 10 products, but I'm not sure whether I want to buy as a customer. I don't know. What if it doesn't fit me? I don't have the time. What if I drive you to my store and say, I have kept all these products ready for you in the physical store, and there is a consultant waiting for you. You go to my store right now in the next 2 hours. It's right next to your house. It's 2 kilometers away from your house. This is the location. Come there. All the products are available. Check them out and you can make the purchase. You have just driven the customer from your online store where they have checked out your products, browsed through your entire catalog, chosen a set of 5 clothes. You have driven them to your physical store and you have completed a purchase here. This kind of conversion is possible in an omni-channel setup, which is an offline store plus an online store. So that is one of the key reasons why you would want it. And this is exactly. So this is direct personalized communication with your customers. That is what it gives you. It obviously improves customer loyalty and retention. 1-year subscription. Where else can you guarantee a 1-year subscription? It can only happen online. Otherwise, so in most places, you go to your milkman who comes and delivers every day in the morning. That's another subscription. You don't switch your milkman every day, right? It happens once in a year. If there is a regular delay, then you decide. Otherwise, you work with the same milkman for a very long period of time. Faster dispute resolution. So say, for example, if you have a physical plus a digital store, you have somebody has bought shoes from your store, online store. The shoes get delivered, they wear it within say 15 days. There is a very small problem that they have with the shoe. Maybe it's not comfortable enough, maybe some part of it has chipped off, maybe the adhesive wasn't strong enough. Now in a typical online space, what happens is you raise a complaint, you raise a refund, and then you have to give a refund because you can't, there is no way you can physically inspect the shoe. So you take the risk of saying no problem, you just give it back to her and I will give you the money. This is faster resolution, but you are taking a hit because all the cost of logistics, the return shoe which you can't resell, all of these things you will have to consider. But if you have a physical store, you can drive this customer to the physical store, have them inspect the store, inspect the shoe there, and see if it needs to be fixed, if it needs to be replaced, or if it needs to be refunded. So you can have that kind of clear communication happening, and dispute resolution is a lot faster. With certain customers who are regular loyals to you, any physical store you go to, if you're a regular customer, they don't usually argue. They say, no problem, just give it off and we will give you your money back. So no problem. So that happens. Why does it happen? Because you want them to stick with you. That is customer relationship, right? And all of this, what does it give you? It gives you loads of information. It gives you insights about your customers. All these insights at the end of the day help you take better business decisions. Which area of India is buying? You're selling to the entire of India. That is the hope with which you set up your online store. But what if it's only tier 2 cities that are buying from you? You were hoping that Bangalore would buy, but Bangalore isn't buying. It is Mangalore which is buying. It is Indore which is buying, which means you need to completely rethink your operations. You need to rethink your logistics because you had probably planned your logistics for Bangalore, but it's not biting. So these insights that you can get from your online store. Are customers buying during discounts? Which means your pricing isn't right. And pricing is not something that you can just change, right? You can offer discounts for every short period of time. But if you realize that instead of 50 rupees, for example, your customer is only willing to pay 35 rupees, you're going to have to get an offset for those 15 rupees on your daily cost, which means you're going to have to rejig your operations. You're going to rejig your sourcing, your manufacturing. You have to reconsider your entire cost structure to bring down the price, which means you will be able to sell more. Can you really afford to sell at 35 for a very long period of time? Those are insights you can only get when you are on an online store because it's immediate. All those insights are immediate. When in a physical store, you have to wait for the data to be accumulated. How much did this retail store sell? I had given him 500 pieces, 500 SKUs. Out of 500 SKUs, he has been able to sell only 150. What happened to the 350? Why were you not able to sell? Will the retailer be able to give you that information? He'll say, I have no clue, man. I have just been stocking it. People are buying. Don't come back to me with this information. I don't know who these people are. People walk into the store, they buy and they go. All I can tell you is 500 you had given me. 350 I was able to sell. 150 I was able to sell. 350 is pending. You can either take it back or you can leave it here. That's it. You don't know anything else. Other thing is with marketplaces, you are online, but you're on a marketplace like Amazon, Flipkart, or whatever other marketplaces are available globally. They take a percentage out of it. Retailers take a percentage out of it. You always mark up. So your product can be sold at 40 rupees directly in your online store. But if you keep marking up for all of them, you keep adding. There is a distributor cost, there is a dealer cost, there is a retailer cost, there is this cost, that cost. Put all that and suddenly 40 becomes 90. Maybe your customer won't buy it at 90. Maybe your customer will buy at 40. And all of this money you're never going to see because it's going to somebody else. When you sell on marketplaces, marketplaces charge a fee for putting you up on that marketplace. With certain people, it's a very huge double figure percentage of almost 25 to 30%. A 30% markup is huge. And that is money you're never going to see. Right? So there are multiple things that you need to consider, but there is also a benefit of being on marketplaces. I would never discount the benefit of being on a marketplace because you don't have to worry about the logistics anymore. You just need to deliver it and they will handle everything else. If it is a marketplace supported store, right, there are many cases where they handle the deliveries. So in which case you just need to make it to their warehouse and everything else is handled by them. The returns are handled by them. Everything is handled by them. So if you are a small sized company, maybe it makes sense because you don't have to go through that entire pain. But anyone above mid-sized and above should consider having their own online store and a physical store. And finally, resilience to copycats. There would be others who are copying your brand, who sell similar kind of products. In a retailer shop, you would be sitting right next to one of those copycats. You have no control. So there is a huge Indian coconut oil brand. Their name begins with P, right? There are so many copycats of that brand. You go to tier 2 cities, you will see this brand, and right next to it, you will see 4 copycat brands. The retailer is least bothered. He will pick up and give anything because he's getting paid from by everyone. It doesn't matter to him. Even on marketplaces, it's just a marketplace. So multiple sellers are selling there. So if I'm buying a cover for my mobile phone, for example, the original is from, say, a company called Rinke. But there could be 10 other copycats who are selling slightly lower priced products, but the quality is not the same. I might end up getting one of those products. There is no way that I'm in control of it because it's being handled entirely by sellers and the marketplace. But if it's my store, I can assure the customer that what you're buying is my original piece. You're buying my original product. Right? I mean, you go and buy an Apple product in an Apple store, you can be absolutely sure what they're giving you is the real true piece. They're giving you a new one. But you go to a normal reseller, a small shop, say a mobile shop, and go and buy a iPhone, you don't know whether it has been opened before. Maybe it has been tried by 5 people and then not bought. You don't know. Right? Apple is just a case in point. It happens with every brand. So, but if you have your own store, your customer gets the confidence that what I'm going to get from this store is the true product. Sealed with authenticity certificate if you have to get it, because you're paying money for it, right? Which is why it's important to sell in your own store. And if it's your store, you set the rules. Not like a marketplace. A marketplace will pull discounts out of you, even if you're not currently in the business position to give discounts, because they want to give discounts. They have big billion days and special monsoon offers, special festival discounts. What do you call it? It's called something.
Amazon has the Great Indian Sale.
Great Indian Sale, correct.
And correct. Internationally so, have the Black Friday sale.
Black Friday, exactly. So if you are, say, for example, a cloud kitchen, and instead of your own website, you're selling through all these aggregator setups like say Swiggy and Zomato and all these players, what happens is they have their own discount policies that are available. Buy one, get one free. You don't have an option. You can't say, I don't want to do it. If you step away from it, you lose. But being a part of it also, you lose. Maybe your business currently cannot afford to give a 1+1. But you have to, because that is the marketplace rule. You can't beat that rule. But if it's your own store, you have complete autonomy. You have control over customer details. You have control over customer journey. You have control over pricing. You have control over your profits. You have control over your business rules. You decide what price you want to sell it at. You have control over the authenticity of your products. Which is why it's important to set up your online store along with the physical store if you have one.
So great point, Shridhar. And the fact that you have a lot of control when you add the online piece, when you go omni-channel, there are from customer insights to control, some sort of protection against forgery and duplication, definitely a lot of pieces. And that brings me to my next piece. If a business decides to add online as another medium to reach out to their customers or to grow their business, what would be some of the key factors they should consider while deciding whether to move ahead or not with this piece? What would you recommend?
So like I was saying earlier, Deepak, when we began this call, so the first question you asked me, why do online stores fail, right? That is the first question you asked me. Those are the key factors. When you set up an online store, you need to very clearly understand who are you selling to, who is your target group. Does this target group really buy online? So let's take an example, right? You are selling a product which is for a younger audience. What does a younger audience do? Younger audience is always online. They are more than happy to take that risk of buying online because for them it's a given medium. They understand how it works. They know it is trustworthy because for them it was the first thing they probably related with. Like my daughter, she's 4.5 years old. She has trouble tying her shoelaces up, but I give her my phone. She knows everything she's supposed to do with it. She knows how to operate YouTube. She knows how to operate the voice search. She knows she's supposed to click on the mic icon to say what she wants. She reads out cartoons. She says Peppa Pig. She says Peppa Pig swimming. She knows how to say that. She doesn't know how to tie her shoelaces. Right? That's the future. So if I am reaching out to that audience, if I'm reaching out to an audience who is say 15, 20 years old, 25 years old, they're already clued into digital. They know how it works. I can sell them anything online. As a marketer, as a brand person, as a company, as a manufacturer, I can sell anything to them online because they understand how it works. They check whether there is refund available, there is replacement, there is returns. They look at the returns option available on right under that product. They know how to work it. But the moment you go above a certain bracket, say above the 45-50 bracket, and I might be making a very general statement here, but I'm only generalizing because to give you an example, there are obviously 50, 60-year-olds who are very good at tech, right? Like the CEO of my company, for example, Parv, he's brilliant at tech. There's nothing that he doesn't understand. But he's clued in because he's the owner of a tech company. So he has to be clued in. But there are also others who are 50 plus who are extremely clued into it. Now, those are exceptions to the rule. The generic audience above 45-50 doesn't want to really take that risk. They want to play it safe. So when you're talking to that audience, your communication is very different. The challenges are very different. Right? So those are all things you need to consider. Who are you selling to? What is your product market fit? If, say, for example, you're going to be selling corporate attire, right? You're going to be selling suits. You're going to be selling proper corporate shirts and ties, right? Who is the audience here? Am I talking to a 25-year-old? Am I talking to an 18-year-old? Probably not, because they wouldn't necessarily be buying it at this time. And even if you were to consider that age group, let's consider a 25 to 35 age group, which is sort of in the middle of all this. Here, once again, you have to consider what industry are they in. If it is a corporate individual who is working for a bank, who has done his MBA, who is working in an IT firm or in any other corporate setup, an insurance company or FMCG or finance. So those kind of people, right? They would have a very clear corporate attire that they need to wear. So that is the audience I'm talking to. Am I talking to somebody who's in the media, who's into advertising? They don't wear those clothes. They don't wear corporate attire. They wear t-shirts, they wear jeans. They like to look creative. So my audience is segmented right here. It's the same 25 to 35, but the industry changes. Their needs and wants change. Segmented further, men and women. Women in the advertising industry still wear slightly more corporate kind of clothes. They like to wear skirts, they like to wear tops. They don't necessarily walk in on jeans and t-shirts. Not all of them do. Once again, I might be sounding very generic in my statements here, but these are just cases in point. There are obviously further more segmentation that you need to do on what kind of likes do they have, right? What kind of music do they listen to? What kind of shows do they like to watch? All of those things factor into figuring out who you are talking to. The beauty of the digital world is that thanks to social media, thanks to the mobile, this device in your hand, it lets you target extremely focused. You can go as granular as you want. The both of us are on call right now. You have a completely set of different tastes in music, probably, than what I do, right? Your playlist might have a lot of heavy metal, as a case in point. My playlist might have a lot of classical music. And when I say classical, I don't mean Western classical. I might be listening to a lot of Carnatic. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to wear t shirts that are funky. So it cannot be a generalized kind of statement. So there is a lot of fragmentation. There is a lot of digging deep that needs to happen. And with this mobile, with online, you can actually get that segmentation, because you can, and thanks to search engines, you can actually track what people are searching for, what they are watching, what they are viewing. You can see everything. The segmentation that is possible now is insane. There was a time when you could only advertise on a newspaper. It was a generic medium. You had one single hardbound piece, it had one single sheet, a newspaper of say 10 pages, which you could advertise on, either on the first page or the third page or the fifth page, based on how much money you have. That is all you had. The Times of India, Indian Express, that is where your world would stop. Then you opened up and went to the next screen, which was the television, where you could decide based on the show that you was on. Was it a cookery show? Was it a generic entertainment show? Was it a news channel or a news show? Or was it a documentary? Was it about animals? Was it for kids? Was it cartoons? Based on that, you could segment and say, my product is for adults. My product is for people who love to watch the news because they want to understand what is happening around the world. And that is the audience I'm talking to. So I'd place my ad in that particular show or in that episode. But then you opened up to the internet. Now you have OTT, which means I don't have appointment anymore. I might love to watch Game of Thrones. I like to watch Game of Thrones at 2 o'clock at night. But Deepak, for example, you might want to watch it at 7 in the morning. So there is no appointment. You decide when you want to watch it. So I can choose to be on the Game of Thrones episode on the OTT platform, irrespective of what time you decide to watch it. Just because you're watching Game of Thrones means I can cater certain kind of products to you. Just because you are somebody who watches a certain type of memes and reels on Instagram, I can show certain kind of products to you. I can sell specific products to you. Based on what you have searched recently, I can cater certain products to you. So digital has just made life far more complicated for us as marketers, frankly. Because in the past, you could just get away with advertising on a newspaper and you'd be done. So my job is done for the day. Let's see. Let's wait for a month and then we'll see where we need to go with it. Now it's every minute. Because one thing trends, and that's it. You have to ride that bandwagon. There are so many trends coming up on a daily basis. People are coming up with all kinds of really freaky things to do just because they want to get noticed. In a world that is wanting to go viral all the time, it's crazy. Right? So understanding your customer, understanding what they want, when they want it, how they want it is very important. Customer segmentation, getting the right product market fit. If this is my product, who are the people who are going to buy it? When do they want it? When should I talk to them about it? When do I know they have buying intent? Now, all of this was happening painlessly in a physical store, because the very fact that they walked into a store means that they need something. But here, you're available online. You're www.brandname.com. They need to first know that you exist online for them to search and come to you, which means you need to be able to use the right keywords and bid for those specific keywords so that you can drive the audience on the search engine, your name to the top so that they click on you. Right? So say, for example, take a physical store example. You're staying in, say, a place like Bandra, right? And the store is somewhere in a place like Mulund or Thane, for example, which are two extremities of Bombay, right? A guy in Bandra wants a special type of sweet. right? He's craving for that dessert. He doesn't know, he knows that it is made in Bangalore. It's available in a store in Bangalore. But he doesn't know that the same sweet is also available in a store in Thane. How will he know? There is no way he will know. Because there is nobody he can go and ask. If he asks his friends, they'll say, well, I know it's available in Bangalore. I don't know where else it's available in Thane. There is a remote chance someone might know who might tell him. But that depends on how eager he is to have it, right? But if you're online, most people do that now. They just type on Google, desert stores near me, or you type the name of the desert. If I have got that keyword, and if I can tag that keyword, if I can bid for that keyword, this guy sitting in Bandra searches for that particular keyword, he immediately gets to know there is a store in Thane which sells this dessert and they deliver it to your house. Job done. So first of all, you need to understand who your target audience is, what is the level of segmentation you need to do, who are you talking to, what time, for what, how. Also the point of communication, do they understand your product in the first place? So we are currently, as ewiz, we are currently trying to help a very large brand. They sell Ayurvedic products online, and we were trying to figure things out for them. We had a discussion with them and we realized there are products that they are selling that most people don't even understand. There are therapies, the names of which most people don't understand. So there are people who are interested in traditional medicine, right? And there are people who are not interested in traditional medicine, who believe that traditional medicine might help, but they don't understand what it means. They don't understand what it is. Let me give you an example. There is something called as Meru Chikitsa. Now, there would be, say, 50-60% of the audience who won't understand what it means. But there is another 40% who understand what it means because they are clued in on the traditional way of medicine. They know what it is. They have done the research probably. Now, the same word, Meru Chikitsa, if I have to communicate to this audience, the 60% who doesn't understand, I'm going to have to talk a different language here. I'm going to have to tell them this is spine correction therapy, where the study is done on the specific points of the spine and the spine is straightened out. Because everything depends on the spine and its connection to the brain. You fix that, all your other problems will automatically get fixed. But if I were to present it in an orthopedic fashion, the allopathic fashion, the modern medicine fashion, they will take Meru Chikitsa. But when I tell them it's Meru Chikitsa, they might not take it because they don't understand what it means. So it is also about communicating in the language that the audience will understand. It's like talking to a millennial, talking to a middle-aged person, and talking to an old person. So 15 to 25 or 15 to 30, for example, 30 to 45 or 30 to 50, 50 plus. You could even go further now with 75 plus, 65 plus. The segmentation is very, very small nowadays. It's 5 years. Instead of the 10, 15 years we used to have in the past, it's 5 years. In fact, it's weeks now. That is how segmented things have become. With Twitter becoming X, with Meta getting into a similar kind of thing, with TikTok being the rage right now, it being banned in India. It's really crazy now what is trending, what people are clued on to, what they are doing. So the segmentation is very important. If you get it right, you can sell anything to anyone, no matter where they are. You just need to know where to talk to them, what to talk to them, and how to talk to them. So these are some key points. This is something you need to understand: who your target audience is, where you're going to talk to them, and how you're going to talk to them. So this is stuff that your physical store used to very comfortably do. It was never a problem. Other than that, obviously, there are the typical set of accessory things that you need to add to the ecosystem, right? When you have a physical store, you don't then think, if I'm setting up a physical store, I need to put shelves, I need to get salespeople, I need to get bags. Am I going to offer home delivery? So when you buy furniture, you don't put it on your car and take it. They deliver it to your house. When you buy electronics, they deliver it to your house, right? So that delivery is something you had to worry about even in a physical store. The same for an online store. Who's going to deliver? How are you going to manage the logistics? And because it's online, how will they pay? So you need a payment gateway, which means you need to have a team in the back end to handle all this. Like I said earlier, a marketplace manages all this, but even with a marketplace, you have to be able to deliver to the marketplace, right? So if you are somebody who produces not in large quantities but in small quantities, then you need to know what there is a demand for. So we had a client, they were huge on the marketplace. They were a healthy snack brand and they had about 20 different products. But all the 20 products did not sell. There were only 5 products that would sell. The other 15 were just lying around. They never could create the kind of demand they wanted for the 15 products. Only 5 products where they were able to sell on a regular basis. There were some jawar puffs, some corn puffs, they had a bunch of energy bars, and then they had fruit chips. They had some small assorted 5 products that they were able to sell in good quantities. And all of this was happening through the marketplace. Now, this insight is something that the team internally needs to understand so that they can insist on more of manufacturing and producing of these products because these are in demand. You can't produce all of them at the same time. It's only 5 that are in demand, which means you need to be able to fulfill that particular demand. You need to be able to know how much there is going to be a demand for, because everything else is surplus and wastage. You can't delay your deliveries with marketplaces because marketplaces promise a 1 day, 2 day delivery, which means you need to be able to deliver to the marketplace within time so that they can offer the same 2 days. So these are things you need a team who can sit down, understand, manage these things. Or you can simply outsource to a external service provider and they will do it for you. So it's the right partner that you can get for yourself. Even in terms of the payment gateways, of the logistics, a normal e-commerce platform provider, like for example, ewiz does all this, right? So any customer who comes to us, we do everything for them. We set up their online store. We do the UI UX, what is going to be the journey. So we help them segment the customers at that level. Who are they talking to? What do they like? Why would they buy? What options do they have? Who are the competitors? So there was this brand that is selling healthy snacks, but they're not the only one selling healthy snacks. There are so many brands that are selling healthy snacks now. When we were doing research, we realized there were 15 brands who were selling healthy snacks and all similar kind of products. They all had energy bars, they all had chips, they all had jawar puffs, they all had all these trail mixes, nuts. Everyone was selling everything that these people were selling. They were all making the same set of claims. So it is a crowded market, but you need to find your niche. That niche could be either in the form of flavors that you bring in, or niche could be in the form of the age group that you're selling to or you're able to tap into based on the name of your product, based on the brand ambassador that you bring in or the influencers you bring in. Could be regions. Maybe your competitors are very successful in tier 1 and tier 2. Maybe you can tap into tier 3. Maybe tier 2, there are certain cities they have not been able to tap into. Maybe you can tap into those cities. All of those things are going to be very important to understand. These are things they need to really focus on.
That's a whole load of information for a business which wants to, also add digital as a channel. And it's not, it would be simply unrealistic to expect a business or a team of people who wants to start something new to have all this experience. Plus, the more if you go B2B or if you go to a specific industry where things are much more complication, like lighting or maybe pharmaceutical, where the technical aspects or the tech specs are a lot more critical and needs a very niche understanding, it I am sure it would become crazier. So What would one person do in this case?
We don't even need to go into pharmaceuticals. We don't need to go into technicals even. Look at apparel. The rate of returns and refunds in apparel is insane, right? Because I'm going to order it from you as a customer. I'm going to get it. I'm not going to try it out in front of you. I'll say, okay, I'll pick it up, I'll take it from you, I'll keep it with me. I'll try it out when I have the time. Maybe I'm in the office, it's been delivered to my house. I'll come back from the office, I'll try it out over the weekend, or I'll try it out at night, and I'll realize this doesn't fit me or I don't look good in it. I will then decide to return it, which means the logistics of dropping it to the customer's house, the logistics of picking it up from the customer's house is all a brand expense. Which is why when I said earlier, you need to have an appetite, you need to have the budgets for this. It is not something you can just get into. You need to understand how this works, which is why virtual try-ons, where you can switch on your camera, stand in front of it, and you can try that cloth out on yourself. You can try the shoes on your leg using augmented reality. With furniture, you can place the furniture in your house. So those are things that will help apparel brands and most other brands figure out how to reduce on these costs. These might look like costs to begin with. So most brands don't get into it because they believe it is a cost. But what they don't consider is the cost of returns, the cost of refunds, the cost of lost opportunities. Whenever a
Your
customer
experience.
comes into your online store, exactly, a customer comes into your online store, they like a product, but they're just not willing to risk it. They'll say, what if it doesn't fit me? What if I don't look good in it? It looks good on that model that they have put the picture of, but I look nothing like that model because the model has makeup. She's standing in front of a light. She's in a studio setup. They've used the best possible cameras. They've used, say, 10 filters to make her look good. What if I don't look this good in this dress? Why am I risking buying a cloth worth 4,500 rupees when I don't even know whether I look good in it? No, man, I'm not going to take this risk. But if you give them a virtual try on, they can actually see what they look like and take a call. Maybe they'll decide against it because they actually don't look good, but maybe they'll also decide yes. But based on the virtual try on, you could make a recommendation, which is where AI can step in. And that's the future. Based on their physicality, are they on the heavier side? Are they on the lighter side? Are they fair in complexion? Are they dark in complexion? Do they have long hair? What are they wearing right now? Because AI can actually look at what a person is wearing. If that person is wearing slightly traditional clothes, if that person is wearing something that is made of cotton, for example, or is looking for stuff that is made of cotton, then maybe you can recommend products that look similar to the product they are seeing right now, which is probably made of silk, for example, and recommend products that look similar but are made of cotton because they feel more comfortable in cotton, which is what a salesperson does. They won't push silk to you. They ask, excuse me, madam, what kind of material do you usually like to wear? What material are you looking for? If the lady says, I usually prefer wearing cotton because I like that feel, or I like silk, then the salesperson doesn't show any other fabric. They don't show terracotta, they don't show cotton, they don't show anything else. They only show silk if that is the preference. Maybe these are not questions that you can ask on the website because customer doesn't want to answer a questionnaire. But based on their search, AI can make recommendations of products that make sense. That is how you can enhance the journey and reduce your costs. These are one-time capex expenses, capital expenses, installation of AI, implementation of AI, implementation of large models, implementation of training of those AI models. You do that once and you're done. Then it's a neural system, it will keep learning. The more customers you send to the website, the more the AI learns. Just like your salesperson, the first time salesperson you recruit, they don't come in completely trained. They spend time, they meet more customers, and they realize there are many times a salesperson knows the moment the person walks into the store, they look at that person, look at how they are standing, look at how they walk, what kind of bag they are carrying, what kind of shoes they are wearing. They know what the customer would probably need. That is an experience that AI can offer.
So, coming back to the point which I was making, this is a lot of information. You need to understand a lot of aspects which go beyond marketing. There is delivery, there is getting the right personnel, understanding all the logistics, too much of information. How should a business get started with this journey, with this digital journey in a very risk managed way, in a very safe way, so they know whatever steps they are taking aren't, it's difficult to be 100% right, but you know that you are not off track while moving ahead in this journey. What would you recommend?
It's actually not that complicated, Deepak. If all a business person needs to do is list down the set of things that they need to do for their physical store. If you ask them, set up a physical store, tell me the 20-25 things that you need to do, that you need to consider when setting up a physical store. And then create a parallel of it in the online space. If they do that, everything gets answered. I have covered all the points in my previous question. What products, who's going to visit the store, what am I going to show them, how are we going to talk to them? That is what you train your salespeople. When the customer comes in, what are you going to tell about your products? What questions do you ask? If all of those things can be a part of the website, your job is done. How are you going to deliver? How are you going to get paid? Is it going to be only cash? Or are you going to have a QR code for UPI? Are you going to accept cards and credit cards? Are you going to accept any other form of payment? Is delivery going to happen on the same day or the next day? How far can you deliver? Can you deliver 5 kilometers? Can you deliver 20 kilometers? Can you deliver 250 kilometers? What kind of shelves are you going to have? What kind of branding are you going to put in the store? Are they going to be hanging festoons? Are you going to put up standees? What will be the color of the walls? That is your website. It's an experience. What is the experience you want your customer to have? Replicate it online and your job is done. It is not that complicated, because every physical store setup goes through that process. Does my target audience live in this area? If I know that my product is a high profile product, it's a high end product, it's expensive, will I set up store in a place which has low end buildings, or would I set it up in, say, the south of Bombay, which is the high profile area? Where will I put up my store? Let's take a case in point. Let's take Jaguar, for example. The Jaguar cars I'm talking about. Will they set up a store in a place, a suburb of Bombay? Or will they set up a store in south of Bombay, where the HNI audience stays? They will set up a store where the HNI audience stays, because they want to be seen in that profile. They want that profile to come to the store. They want that profile to be easily accessible to that store. IKEA set up a store in New Bombay, but they realized their mistake. They set up another store in Worli, which is South Bombay. They set up another store in Ghatkopar, which is Central Mumbai. You don't have an option. You have to do it, because you have to go to where your audience is. It's exactly the same. The problem is, most people believe setting up an online store is enough. It is not. Just the way setting up a physical store is not enough, setting up an online store is not enough. There are a lot of things that you need to think about. If they do that, they're sorted. Tracking on the online store. So the things that you need to consider, like you said, what are the things you need to consider while you set up your online store? Tracking and analytics. What did the customer do online? So the reason why you're not able to track in a physical store or a retail store, for example, if it's your own store, you can have cameras with which you can track where did customers come and go. Your salespeople can give you feedback. Customers came in and said your products are very expensive. Everyone came in and said they looked at the product, they loved it, they asked for the price and they left. Which means pricing is the problem. Is pricing the problem? Have you set up your store in the wrong place? So that is insights, which means you need to have a team that can sit and think about it. Or you need a partner like ewiz who can think for you. Take these insights and think for you. And KYC is a wealth of information. Who is your customer? If you take your database of customers, segment them. How many males, how many females, what age groups, which locations, where did they log in from, where are they asking for delivery, what price point are they willing to pay, what time of the day did they log in, what time of the year did they log in, which day of the week did they log in. All this is data. So somebody needs to analyze all this data. Then coming to the point of legal and regulatory requirements. What can you say about your product? What can't you say about your product? Region to region, that changes. You can make certain claims in India very freely, but you can't make those claims in Europe. You can't make those claims in most other countries. There are certain kind of imagery that's allowed in India. That kind of imagery is probably not allowed in UAE, the Middle East, in China. So the same brand, the online store for each region changes because the advertising changes. The brand thinks about advertising for each area. Coca-Cola does advertising for each country. They don't do generic advertising. There is a generic ad they do, but for every region, they then localize that ad. They use local celebrities. They do local level branding. There are certain things that Coca-Cola can do in the US. Let's take a risky brand here, Victoria's Secret, for example. It's a lingerie brand. Their models can be wearing minimum clothes in the US. They can be wearing minimal clothes in UK. But you can't advertise Victoria's Secret in a newspaper in Mumbai, in India. The banners outside their stores can't carry the kind of imagery that the stores in US can carry. Same for Indian websites. There is a restriction. The legalities and the regulatory requirements you have to understand. Compliance of data protection. In the US, in Europe, customer data is sacrosanct. The level of securities you need to provide in those countries if you're setting up your website is far more stringent than doing it in India. When you build a car in India, when you sell a car in India, BS6 is the toughest norm globally. USA doesn't have those standards. There you can pollute if you want. In India, you can't. Any new car manufacturer has to subscribe to BS6. They have to comply with BS6, which is a very stringent norm. Many car manufacturers can't sell in India because they are not compliant with BS6, even though they are a huge brand. They have to make themselves compliant for BS6. So it's the same. So when you work with a partner like ewiz, we know which region wants what level of regulations, and what level of data security is needed. And then we work it out accordingly. Consumer rights in those areas. Some places it's okay if you don't give a refund. Some places it's compulsory to give a refund. You can't give a replacement. Some places it's okay to give it in the wallet, the money back in the wallet. In some places it's compulsory to give it back to the original mode of payment. These are nitty-gritties, but these are very important because they make or break a deal. So you need to know how to protect customer data and comply with relevant laws of each region. Now, it's impossible for a brand and a team to do it on their own, which is why you need a partner who understands these things. And most businesses try and cut costs when getting these partners, which is why the money, the potential, and the scope that their online store has doesn't usually get met. Amazon handles all that for you when you go onto a marketplace. Most marketplaces handle it for you because they know the loss, but they also take a huge chunk out of your profits. And last and finally, customer support and service. If the customer is unhappy with your product, what will you do? In a physical store, it's a face-to-face thing. The customer walks in and says, I'm not happy with your product. You pick up the product, you check it out, you see if it is damaged, not damaged, physical damage, no physical damage. You decide what you want to do. But in an online store, there is no way you can physically inspect the product. So you have to bear that cost. You have to figure out. You have to have the appetite to play that game and say, it's okay, just return it. No problem. I'll refund. Because you want your brand value to stay. Because digitally, one negative remark, one negative review, one negative viral video can make or break your brand. Then you have to get into online reputation management, which is an expensive thing. For a 1,500 shoe, if you reject, and that person happens to have a following or is some kind of influencer and is able to put up a video that goes viral, the expense can be 100 times. The cost of having rejected that refund can be 100 times that. It could be 1,500 multiplied by 100. So those are things you need to understand. So while universe is larger in the online space, one unhappy customer can impact your online reputation. Physical store, you are in control because The customer is inside the store till the time they don't leave. So as they are leaving, as the owner of the customer, as the manager sitting at the entrance, you can decide to take a call and say, no problem, let's just close this. Just give him the refund and it's okay. But online, they go. That's it.
Amazing insight, Sridhar. And there's a lot to think. There's a lot to think in terms of how to start, where to start, who you need. And I think the last point which you made, that with all those things, having the right e-commerce partner will help you overcome all these obstacles in a very easy, or you may say in the very right manner. And
Yeah, because
with
they
that,
will
I
do
would
most of this heavy lifting for you. Because they will do all the heavy lifting for you as the partner, while you can concentrate on the business that you're doing, right? I mean, it's not like you go into a hospital and you tell the doctor how you're supposed to operate on. You're ready to lie down, you're ready to take your medicines and wait and let them do their job the same way. The e-commerce partner like ewiz will do the heavy lifting for you. We will guide you on the way, we will guide you on the steps you're supposed to take, while you can focus on the business that you're doing.
great. With that, before I bring an end to our today's episode, could you please take maybe 2 minutes and explain what all you do at ewiz commerce, how ewiz commerce can help businesses in their journey, in their digital journey, and how you can help.
Absolutely. Yeah, so see, we have our own platform called ewiz commerce. So see, as an e-commerce partner, we offer the full stack of services, right? So any business owner walks in or gets in touch with us, we do what is called as a discovery call, where we sit down, understand from them what are the pain points, if at all they have any, or maybe they're just setting up, for that matter. They have a very good offline presence. They are probably say level 2 or level 3 in the market, top 3 players in the market, and we do have customers who do that. They are very good at offline. They are doing pretty well, but their online store isn't working. That is usually the case when it comes to mid-sized and large-sized enterprises. They are doing fantastically well physically, so the monies are not a problem, but they just don't know how to make the online space work. So in that case, we usually have what is called as a discovery call. It is like a consultative thing where we ask questions. We have a very freewheeling chat. It's usually driven by questions, very pointed, but it ends up becoming a freewheel chat where they start telling us about the problems they had. They give us some cases. So we had this customers, we have these kind of customers who come in, they drop off after they add to cart, or we try to do this here during this period. Did it during the festival, but we really couldn't get the returns we wanted. So we get this information. Based on this information, we do a lot of pre-work. We sit down and research. We go into the depths of the brand. We look at the website. We do what is called as a heuristic analysis. A heuristic analysis basically looks at the website from a user's point of view. If I'm a user who knows nothing about your brand, for example, and I come to your store, what is the experience that I'm getting? Where am I getting lost? What am I supposed to get? What is the messaging I should have on the website? Am I being driven to the product properly? Is there a clear journey that's available? That is a heuristic analysis. Is the menu properly positioned? Are the menu items correct? Are they in the right order? Am I able to understand more about the brand? Am I able to find the right products when I search? Right? So the example I was giving you a little earlier about that Ayurveda brand, they have something for knee pain, right? Knee pain. But when you search the word knee in their search box, nothing comes up. But when I search pain, all the pain options come. I'm not going to write pain as a customer. I'm going to write knee pain. So when I write knee, the website should be intelligent enough to understand that this person is looking for solutions for the knee. What are the possible solutions? I could be looking for knee pads. I could be looking for knee exercises, knee poses for yoga. I could be looking for knee pain treatment. I could be looking for knee whitening cream because knees get dark. So women are very conscious about it. So these are the segmentations. These are the pieces you need to understand. So we help brands understand all these things. We do a heuristic analysis, figure out where they're going wrong. We do a competitor analysis. We do user segmentation. We do all of this, and then we go back to the customer with a plan. We tell them these are things that are working, these are things that are not working. Because these things are not working, these are the problems, these are some of the issues you're facing, because these are the reasons why customers are dropping off from your website. These are some quick fix solutions that we have for you, and these are some larger level problems that you need to fix, like brand level problems, brand positioning problems, some UI, UX, user interface, and user experience problems, which is the look and feel of the website, some branding issues, some communication issues, some content issues, some imagery issues. We point out all these things and go back to them with a deck. We charge for the pre work, obviously, because we put a lot of effort into it. There is an entire team that looks into it. We do a bit of primary and secondary research to get to the numbers, we get to the facts. The primary research, we work with certain partner agencies who are research agencies who help us, because we can't touch the entire of India. So we have research agencies across India who help us with this research. Most of the secondary research is done by the internal team. And once we do this, we come back to you with a plan of what can happen. And this is the planning phase. It lasts for about 2.5 weeks, where we help sit down with you to define your goals and objectives based on what you had briefed us earlier. Based on those goals and objectives, the market research and the competitor analysis, we determine the target audience, we outline the key features of the website that you need to have, what are the solutions that we need to put up. Based on that, what should be the website look and feel, what should be the things that we put on the website, what are the features, what are the products, etc., what should be the journeys. Then a project plan is created. We come back with a proposal. If we need to work together as partners, this is the plan, this is the timeline. These are the set of things we need to do over a period of the next 3 years to get your business to where it needs to go. And this is obviously considering your goals, short term, mid term, and long term. And every business's short term goal is always to get into the revenue, to get into the neutral or the positive if they are in the negative. So if they are in the negative, we get them into neutral and positive. So first is to reduce negative. So that is the short term goal. So we start helping them cut costs. We start helping them streamline. So those are things we start doing for them. Then we go into design and development, which is the actual execution. So we define the journeys, the site maps, the wireframe of the website, the structure. We start helping them with the communication plan, the brand plan, take the entire team through it, help their sales team understand, help their product team understand what needs to happen. We bring in an external agency if we need to get the complete revamp of the website design done. We have some of the biggest and the best UI UX agencies partnered with us. So we bring those experts in. We bring in SMEs if required, if it's a product market fit problem. We bring in complete design experts to overhaul the design of the product packaging itself if we believe that is the problem through the research that we have done. So we go full hog, basically. Complete rebranding of the not only the website but also of the product and the market positioning and the brand positioning. We design the user interface either ourselves or we bring in an agency. Then we develop and test the front end and back end. So the back end is where the client's team interacts with the website, uploading of products, updation of data, updation of inventory on a daily basis, because you can't have a product out of stock and it being available online, because a customer can't come in, choose a product, make the payment, and then realize it's out of stock. So if it's out of stock, it has to say it is out of stock. How do you do it? How regularly will you do it? Is it going to be a daily upload? How regularly do you keep changing the products? How regularly do you do R&D and evolve your products, improve your products? So that improved data needs to come in. So all that back-end functionality needs to be put in. The front-end look and feel of the website as per your brand. Necessary integrations. So like I said earlier, payment gateways, which is the right payment gateway for you. Each region has its own payment gateway requirements. Each region has its own shipping requirements. All of those things need to be considered. Responsiveness and mobile optimization needs to be considered. Which area are you going to be working with? So all of those things we need to look at. Once all of this is done, once the design is finalized, once the website is made, then we go into testing. We have an extensive QA process that the website goes through. And QA is done at two levels. One is the tech quality assessment, where the entire technology is tested in terms of whether all the buttons are doing what they are supposed to do, whether the backend is functioning the way it's supposed to function. Then there is a front end QA, which is the entire marketing team doing its QA, where you get in, look at whether the journeys are right, whether the content is correct, whether the spellings are properly written, whether it is grammatically in place, whether each region's language is properly visible. What kind of content are we putting? We have multilingual support available. And this is not normal multilingual, where it's usually Google Translate that gets used. We have actual translation, AI driven translation, high quality translation, where your specific brand names are not translated into other languages, which can really be chaotic for a customer. So if it's an English name that says, say, for example, Wildflower is the name of the brand, and if it gets translated into a local language, it will become a literal translation of the word wild and the word flower, which is not the brand name anymore. So a brand like Nike is Nike, irrespective of which script you write it in. It cannot change as per language. So we have that technology in place, so we can implement that for you based on the regions that you go into. And once all of this is done, we do a thorough testing of the website. All the bugs that exist are fixed. And then we set up the content and the product for you. You give us all the data is uploaded, all the images are uploaded. The pricing structures are put in place. Inventory management systems are put in place. Search and filtering options are put in place. And once again, with search, there are multiple types of search that come in. There is NLP, natural language processing search, where you can't expect the customer to know the spelling. So while I'm typing, say, for example, shower curtains, right? I might say shower curtains, SHAWER. It can't tell me there are no products available. SHAWER would still mean shower. It's probably that there is a typo error here. So in that case, NLP is supposed to catch that and give the right solution. So shower curtain should be shown. So say, for example, you go to Google and search for something, it tells you, did you mean this? It still understands. That is natural language processing. We have that enabled on our platform. So we can give you natural language processing. Voice search. I don't necessarily have to type it out. I can search by clicking on the mic button and I can say what I want. So voice search and image search. These are things that you have to enable on your website. So all those types of searches can be put in. Filtering options based on the segmentation, based on the categories. Optimization of the content pages in terms of SEO. Putting up about us pages where the customer can come and understand more about your company. Does it say everything that the customer needs to read? FAQs, frequently asked questions about your brand, about your products, and what are your policies? Return policy, refund policy, replacement policy. These are very key factors that we ensure that go into your website. And finally, customer accounts. You have to get your customers to log in. So there is a pre-login experience and a post-login experience. All this data has to be managed properly. And all this access needs to be given to certain people at your end. Not everyone can have access to customer data because it's sacrosanct. So only the admin level people at your end can have this access. So which means we have to give training to your team on how this works. So all of that is done. Payment and security integration. What kind of payment gateways? Is it secure enough? SSL certificate needs to be uploaded. Regular updates need to happen on your systems. Many websites fail because they get done by smaller teams. They get done by small website developers who can't afford to give you that level of security protocol. As ewiz, our parent company PowerWeave is 22 years old, and we have more than 800 plus websites live on the platform at any point in time. So for us, security is not just another thing. It is something that we have to do because it is our product. So we have to have security in place because we are dealing with large enterprises who can't afford to have their data breached in any given form. Regular updates to the server, regular software updates need to happen so that hacking doesn't happen. Most systems get hacked because all of the security protocol and this update protocol is not in place. We have 24/7 support and security features enabled. This is all to ensure that your payment systems, your website systems, your user systems, your product systems, your user inventory management systems keep working seamlessly and smoothly. They interact with each other properly. Data protection and privacy are put in place. There is a clear, defined EULA in place so that the customer across regions, in India, it is not such a big deal, but in other countries like Europe and other places, EULA is very important, end user license agreements, because they read and they can file a case against you if your EULA is not met, if your security protocols are not met. So those are things that you need to be very careful about. As your partner, we do all that for you. Finally, once it goes live, we also take UAT, which is user acceptance testing. We get certain users to sit down, look at the website, interact with your website, and we gather feedback from them. We record those sessions. And with those recordings, we can actually find out whether the journeys are working the way they are supposed to work. We ensure that the website works across different devices, on multiple laptops, on multiple operating systems, multiple web browsers, multiple devices, mobiles, tablets, different sized mobiles, smaller mobiles, larger mobiles, tablets, desktops, laptops, everywhere. It needs to work everywhere because you don't know what people are going to log in through. Somebody could be on a Linux system, somebody could be on a Windows system, somebody could be on a Mac system. It has to work across all of them. We do all of this testing before your website goes live. And we set up all your tracking for you, which basically means once the website has launched, all the tracking is done. Where does your customer come in from? What was the source? Where did they go to? What products did they check out? Where did they drop off? Did they abandon cart? And we have a robust tracking mechanism in place. We install all the right plugins to make sure that you have continuous data available about user behavior and analytics. And once we have user data in place, that is when our entire GTM solution comes in. We offer full stack GTM services, which means not just the website, the UI, UX, the entire communication piece I was talking about. Your website is live, but who will market it for you? How will you talk to your customers? How will you talk to your target audience? What kind of communication should you put out? Who will make the creatives for you? Who will work out these strategies for you? We do all of that. We have a full-fledged team in-house, and we have partner agencies, both in the mainstream event as well as digital spectrum, who can do these things for you. We have our own PowerWeave studio, which is our partner company who can do content creation for you in terms of product photo shoots, multimedia video shoots, YouTube videos, television commercials. You ask for it, we have it available. So we are a complete e-commerce ecosystem solutions provider. You handle your business, we handle everything else. And this is obviously an ongoing thing. We set it up for you once, and then we keep sustaining it for you till that time that you don't get the growth that you're supposed to get. And there is obviously regular communication that happens through a key account manager that we set up for you. There is a Spock at your end, Spock at our end. There is constant communication, reporting, and discussions to make sure that together as partners, we achieve the goals that you have set for yourself.
So thank you, Shridhar. That was a great summary of what we do at ewiz and PowerView. And we hope to speak more about this. We hope to discuss more about this in the next episode when we talk about building an online store, building an online platform, getting the right tech stack, how you should evaluate, what are the different features you should look at, what are the commonly made mistakes, all these things in the next episode of the series, which is Mastering the E-commerce Journey, along with Shridhar Jagannathan. Thank you, Shridhar, for joining us again, and we hope to catch you soon for the next episode of this series.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure, Deepak. We will surely catch up next time and discuss a lot more about how the tech piece needs to work and everything that goes into building the right tech stack for your brand.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me.